Hi YouTube, I've just been looking through my videos and I found that my Makaton video got over 2,700 views, which is 10 times better than my second best video. So I think it's only right I talk a bit more about sign language, seeing as that's what YouTubers seem to be into the most. Um, One of the best things about sign language is that it's the only four-dimensional language we have. Normal talking is just one dimension, time, because obviously you can't see words as a speech bubble. And written words, they are nearly always two-dimensional, width and height. Occasionally you'll get words where the depth gives some meaning, sometimes in adverts, but they're very rare. Signs go up and down, sideways. They use depth, that's the third dimension, and they use time because the order, the sequence of the signs matters. Another advantage they have is that because they can use these four dimensions instead of just one, unlike speech, you can use signs in parallel. You can't do that with words. Try and say two words at exactly the same time. Can you do it? No. But you can quite easily sign two signs at once. Good morning. When I said the words, it was one after the other. The signs were simultaneous. Oh, sorry, just had a jolt there. I hope Flash doesn't ruin this for me. Where was I? Yeah, and they actually did an experiment when they finally started considering sign language a proper language, in the 1970s. They got two people who were fluent in English and sign language. One of them translated a book into sign language. The other person was kept in a place where he could see but not hear. So he didn't know what the story was. All he was getting were the signs. He translated it back into English, and guess what? Virtually identical. The interesting thing was, there were only half as many signs used as there were words. So by using parallel signing, you can express exactly the same information with half as many signs. And in fact, saying the story and signing the story both took the same amount of time. So neither's faster than the other. We tend to think of sign language as slow and clumsy, but that's because most of us only use it as a second language if we know any signs at all, which most people don't, apart from simple gestures. If you're really into sign language, I recommend a book by Oliver Sacks called Seeing Voices, which is about the history of the deaf community. It's fantastic. He talks about something called aphasia, which is where the left side of the brain is damaged so that you are no longer able to understand language. And it has happened to fluent signers, deaf signers, and they lose the ability to use signing. They can still use simple gestures, directional things, or swearing, but they lose all grammar and they forget most of them, just those few gestures. Which shows that it is a proper language, which, even though it's visual, and visual is usually the right side of the brain, when people become fluent signers, it transfers to the left side, language side. Now, unfortunately for my community, the autistic community, although sign language does seem to be made for us, and I find it fascinating, and I really wish I could say otherwise, it's not common for autistics to learn fluent sign language. As a member of YouTube corrected me, Makaton is not a language, it's a lexicon. It means use as little or as much of it as possible. And it doesn't have a native grammar, it still follows the same sequence as words do. We have disabilities in imagining new phrases, so we often repeat the same phrases. I'm sure I've done that on these videos at some point. And it's the same with signing. When we learn sign language, we tend to use it repetitively. We pick one or two favourite signs, use them over and over and over, because we're not really interested in much else. Also, the whole concept of communicating at all is beyond most of us. So that's going to affect sign language just as badly as spoken language, I'm afraid. But, having said that, even if it takes you a year to teach your autistic child or pupil one sign, if it's a useful sign, like toilet or home or whatever, that's an infinite amount of progress. Because going from no language to one unit of language, that's infinite progress. And if you can teach another one, that's 100% progress. And if you can teach a third one, well, that's 66.6 recurring percentage, and so on and so on and so on. Do you get the picture? But even if you've only taught someone one sign, you've made their life a heck of a lot easier. Believe me. The difference between being able to communicate nothing and being able to communicate one thing, whether it's toilet, biscuit, or home, or whatever, is valuable for people. As to teaching autistics sign language, if you really want to succeed, I can only suggest one thing, at least with the most severe end of autism. Get a glass wall, have things they like toys or fruit or chocolate or whatever, have a way of passing it through to them, like a one-way trapdoor, if you like, or cat flap or whatever, and don't give it to them until they've signed it. Prompt them if need be, but do not give in. Everybody is too soft on us. That's why we don't progress enough in education. And that's why those few schools which are run on strict old-fashioned standards do best with us. We do best in strict schools. We don't give in, even if they're whinging or making a scene. Insist that they sign for things. They can do it. And they will do it if they're motivated. But if you give them things without asking them to communicate to you, well, they're going to get used to that. And they're going to expect other people to anticipate their needs just as much. So it's irresponsible to do that. That's the rant over. Let me know if you want any more information about Makaton or autism. Anyway, thanks for all those people who've watched my other Makaton video. I hope this was as enjoyable. See you later, YouTube.